cool. Way to go.
Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen on this fine Victory Tuesday after the Houston Texans' 34-10 win over the Dallas Cowboys. I turned on ESPN this morning, and on one of their old school dog shit talking head shows, they were discussing the possibility of the Dallas Cowboys hiring Deion Sanders as the head coach, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. That's where the Dallas Cowboys are at, though, still coasting on glory from the early 1990s, having not made a trip to the Super Bowl since 1996, with their stadium and team literally falling apart at the seams. And I'm not going to spend any more time today kicking Cowboys fans while they're down, because they're not even relevant enough for me to waste that type of energy doing so. But the point is, the Texans had to win this game. As I said last week, they needed to win this game to maintain some semblance of hope for a real postseason run. And while this was a fun win, beating an in-state rival on Monday Night Football, it was absolutely expected. No? This was expected. This is what needed to happen. So let's talk about some of the positives from this game. Joe Mixon continues to be the absolute man. The man. 20 touches for 109 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns with a 45-yard run thrown in there. Not enough can be said about Nick Caserio bringing in Joe Mixon to this team in the offseason. Without Caserio making that move and trading for Joe, this season probably looks a lot different than it does right now, with the Texans sitting atop the division with a 2-game lead over the Colts in the win column and holding the tiebreaker with Indianapolis as well. Joe Mixon has the speed. He has the vision. I have no idea why the hell the Cincinnati Bengals didn't want him anymore, but I am sure glad that we have him now. Joe Mixon, MVP of this game yet again. This guy has been the MVP of the season so far. And you saw how much we missed him in the few games that he was out. Aside from Joe, the Texans' defense once again looked extremely dangerous. Granted, the Cowboys have Cooper Rush out there at quarterback. So just like the win was expected, I would argue the defense making the Cowboys look silly was expected. But shutting out the Dallas offense in the first, third, and fourth quarters, 3 of the 4 quarters in the game with zeros on the board, is an impressive feat nonetheless, especially on the road in Arlington at their busted-ass stadium. With the exception of the 64-yard touchdown they gave up to Turpin, this was a very solid game defensively. Derek Stingley looked great out there. I'm wearing my Sting shirt today as a result. Had an interception. Should have had at least one more INT, maybe 2, where he was in position, made the play, but just didn't quite have the hands to reel it in. But yeah, could have been like a 3-interception game for Stingley, but he got 1 and looked good all evening long. Danielle Hunter had 2 sacks. Hunter was disruptive all game. Danico Autry was all over the place. 5 sacks total for the defense against the Cowboys offense. An all-around good showing. And when we get Will Anderson Jr. back healthy, look out, because things are clicking defensively. Derek Barnett, who I'm not even sure I've mentioned on this show a single time since the beginning of the season. Where the hell did that guy come from? The sequence of events when the Cowboys kicked what was, I think, like a 60-plus yard field goal, which was good, but Barnett was flagged for a head slap penalty where he did indeed slap the living shit out of a Cowboys lineman. The field goal got taken off the board in exchange for the first down. The Cowboys then failed to score. Then Barnett forces a fumble. The Cowboys recover. Petrie forces another fumble. Barnett recovers that fumble and runs 28 yards for a touchdown. That was a thing of beauty. Probably the best defensive play we have had so far this season, the Texans. And just what a game for Derek Barnett. Really made a name for himself there in Arlington at Jerry World. The Swarm is alive and well. And if the Texans do find a way to make a real playoff run in the postseason, the defense will be the reason why. Mark my words. Speaking of which, we scored a second-half touchdown. It was on defense, but we did it. That was so fucking invigorating, man. Just to even get 6 on the board, defense, offense, don't care. Felt so good. And then we scored a second-half touchdown on offense. Finally, we did it. Hold on, let me get my soundboard where I need it to be so that we can all...
Please clap.
Clap together. Everybody clap. We did it. We scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, 1 on defense, 1 on offense. The drought is over. Look at us. We're really doing it. That was good fun. Incredible. Look good, feel good, play good. Everybody knows that's how it works, but finding high-quality basics for your wardrobe online that actually fit well, not too tight, not too baggy, can be a huge pain in the ass. That's where today's sponsor, True Classic, comes in and saves the day. I'm a pretty simple dude when it comes to how I dress on a day-to-day basis. I don't need much, but shopping for clothes can be so defeating when the shit you buy ends up being ridiculously expensive, and then when it finally arrives, it actually looks like crap on you. True Classic delivers the exact opposite of that experience. Their shirts are high quality and unbelievably comfortable. I've been wearing their long sleeve Henleys as the temperature finally starts to drop here in Texas. Incredibly comfortable. I'm huge on t-shirts. They comprise like 90% of my wardrobe, and nobody has better looking or more comfortable t-shirts than True Classic. Like I mentioned, the Henleys are great. The crew necks are perfect. They've got V-necks, long sleeve Henleys, sweaters, hoodies, literally everything you could possibly need with premium quality and a premium fit. Got my latest order of True Classic in the mail a couple weeks ago. I've been wearing it around the house. Even my wife has commented, like, is that stuff new? It looks great on you. Underwear, jackets, socks, jeans, polos, joggers. True Classic is your one-stop shop for everything you need. And the holidays are here as well. And True Classic's ultra-comfortable, perfect-fitting essentials make the perfect gift for you and the other men in your life. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to our exclusive link just for can bangers at trueclassic.com/BTC to save. That's trueclassic.com/BTC. They've got crazy deals going on right now, so go check them out. Please support our show and tell them we sent you in the year with holiday cheer thanks to True Classic. The offensive line, once again, looked competent, which is enormous considering the state of things just, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Number 78 was still flagged a time or two, one of which was on the opening offensive play where Nico Collins broke free for what would have been a huge touchdown, which was, of course, negated. But all things considered, the offensive line has looked a lot better since changes were made. I'm still not clear on why it took so long to make changes. It's like they just kept hoping things would get better or things would click, but like things needed to change. They've changed, and now it looks like we have a legitimately competent offensive line. It's still not going to be the best in football by any means, but CJ Stroud has a pocket. He's got time to read the defense and make a play, and that is all we are asking for at this point. Protect the freaking quarterback. I think he was only sacked once this game. Yes, 1 sack, so that is good enough. That is where we need to be. So shout out to the offensive line. Let's talk about some things we still need to see improve, though. CJ Stroud still didn't look terribly comfortable out there. Compared to, we saw a full season of this kid as a rookie, where even in the games where we got beat or things went horribly wrong, like he was always the bright spot and a clear and a shining star on this team, right? That we were all excited to see as like the future potential face of the NFL even. Like that's how good he was as a rookie. The bar was set very, very high. So it's difficult to judge CJ Stroud considering all the circumstances of this season. Things have not gone the way they did during his rookie campaign. He's not throwing as many touchdown passes. He's not getting as many yards through the air. He is, for the first several games of the season, really like 7 games, he did not have the time in the pocket that he had last year. He just looks kind of discombobulated and like his head is out of it a little bit. So in this game against the Cowboys, he once again had like several misses through the air. Still wasn't as accurate as we would like to see and is seemingly not getting like the same amount of zip on his throws that we came to expect based on last season. The touch isn't quite the same. It just seems like he's going through something. I don't know if it's mechanical or if it's mental or physical, like he's hurting in some way, shape, or form. But he certainly did enough to get a big win. Not saying he didn't. His stat line was okay, 23 for 34. That's a 67.6 completion percentage for 257 yards passing. 0 touchdowns, though. Mixon obviously got 3 rushing touchdowns. 0 touchdowns for C.J. Stroud, 1 interception. Like I said, only sacked once. But still, you got to hope for more from him longer term, right? I mean, I'm hoping that the new, the structure of the offensive line having changed and us seeing better results with the pass blocking will get him settled in more and more in these last several weeks of the season that we've got ahead of us, so that he is hitting stride come the playoffs. Because it's just, the feeling was always we'll go as far as C.J. Stroud can take us. And that's not really what we've seen on the field, right? It's really now it's like we'll go as far as Joe Mixon and the defense can take us. And if we get C.J. back at the level we know he's capable of playing at, then that puts us up into the top tier category in the league that we want to be in, where we are actually, looking at a potential AFC championship appearance. But if CJ continues to play the way he has the last several weeks, where he seems kind of downtrodden and like he's just not quite himself, that puts limitations on what we can do offensively. Because clearly good teams, which the Cowboys are not, good teams are going to stack the box to stop the run and force CJ to throw the ball. So it wasn't his best game. It wasn't his worst game. He still didn't look quite as good as I know those of us who are paying close attention would like to see him look based on the ceiling that he set last season. On that note, throw the fucking ball to Nico Collins. Nico was back, and I'm pulling up the stats right now to make sure I don't misspeak here, but I just still didn't feel like he got enough looks. So 7 targets, 4 receptions for 54 yards, a long of 33. That's not enough, man. I know they're going to focus on Nico, as far as the defensive coverage goes, but this dude is a monster. We've all seen what he's capable of. Throw him the rock and trust him to make those plays. He could be blanketed. And I still don't especially in the red zone, it's one of the most confusing things about our offense still. I understand we're having success with Joe Mixon, but then there's this, what was it, let's just cover Bobby Slowick in this conversation as well. We had that one play where it was 3rd and inches, and we threw the ball, and we did not throw it to the one guy that I think you could excusably say, that's still a sane decision, which was Nico Collins. If you got 3rd and inches and you're not going to give the rock to Joe Mixon, which you fucking should, then it better be thrown to the tallest, strongest, best receiver on your team, and it wasn't. So I know he's still getting back in the swing. He looked perfectly fucking healthy based on that first play from the Texans offense, the first play of the game. I realized that it got called back, but it didn't look like he was limited in any way. It doesn't look like the injury he suffered is holding him back. So I don't really know why he only got 7 targets, 4 receptions. Him and Tank Dell should not be getting the same amount of targets. No disrespect to Tank Dell, but he's literally half his fucking size. This is a league of size matters in the NFL. Without argument. And I don't get not getting Nico Collins the ball more often. He has proven time and again for more than a season and a half now that he can be a massive difference maker on offense. He has superstar talent. He can break the game open for you in one play, as he almost did on the opening play. Unfortunately, Laramie Tunsil is a thing that exists, but I just, that's one of the things I watched this game, and I'm still going, a good win, yes, 34-10, yes, Cowboys suck, yes, it's nice to see us, come out on top with a cushion, but I need to see Nico Collins get the ball more. I need to see him as the focal point of the offense as far as passing goes. And that just wasn't really the case yesterday, and I did not understand why, which brings me to Bobby Slowick. The play calling is still questionable every week. And the commentators, the guys calling the game, I think it was Joe Buck, right? They even brought it up. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman? they're talking about, what the fuck was that play call? And these aren't even guys who have to watch the Texans week in and week out or cover them week in and week out. So the play calling has still been kind of confusing. It's still the consistency is the thing that I point to as like, what? Like, we're what are we, 11 games into the season or whatever? Like, you got to know situationally what you're going to do on offense. And Bobby Slowick seems to overthink things. Like, he's like, well, they're going to think we're doing this, so I'm going to do this. And it's like on the 3rd and inches, there was the perfect example. It's like, dude, just run the fucking ball. Like, some stuff doesn't need to be overthought. Some stuff doesn't need to be as complicated as it seems he's making it. Like, when you've got Nico Collins, just throw him the ball. When you've got 3rd and inches and you got Joe Mixon, just run the ball. When your offensive line is finally working the way it's supposed to, like, go for some shit, man. Like, throw the ball downfield. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It feels like we're placing limitations on the offense at this point. And I think if you open up the playbook a little more and do some not the crazy weird shit that he likes to do as far as, running these trick plays that have never worked this season. I'm talking about just like airing it out downfield, going for chunk plays to Nico. Get more out of the air. Like CJ, this is what makes me think maybe something's not quite right with CJ Stroud, because it just doesn't really make sense the way the offense, the scheme is for every game. And, he had some bad quotes after that loss, either to the Lions or the Jets. I can't remember, where Bobby Slowick said something to the tune of, well, there's not that many things that defenses can throw at you, and they don't really change much from the first half to the second, which is just, it's a crazy thing to say, just patently untrue. Defenses do make changes in the 15 minutes that they have in the locker room. They can talk to each other and go, well, here's the thing I noticed. Here's the thing, we're seeing them have success with. Here's a way we can fucking stop that. Like, that's a thing. That's the literal point of halftime, minus the, 15 minutes of rest for the players so they can perform at their highest level or whatever. That's what halftime is for. Adjustments. And it seemed like he wasn't even willing to acknowledge the lack of success that this offense has had in the second half pretty consistently all season long. Now, that's weird. That's weird because winning teams take responsibility for their flaws and for the shortcomings and own the stuff that they're not good enough at. And that's how you get better. And so him not being willing to do that with the media is one thing. I don't know if that's how it is behind closed doors, which is obviously what really matters. But it was concerning to see Bobby Slowick basically brush it off like, no, that's fine, nothing. We're not doing anything wrong at halftime, where it's like, brother, the games are in 4K. There's like 100 cameras in the state. We're all watching. Like, we can see. It's not, you can't pull the wool over our eyes. We suck ass offensively in the second half. Even if we did get finally got an offensive touchdown against the Cowboys, one offensive touchdown in the second half is enough against the Cowboys? 34-10 is fine. But I'm just saying, that's not like, still not good enough. Like, if we're being real, it's good enough to win one game, but it's not good enough for where you're trying to take this team if you want to be a real contender. You've got to crush the bad teams, and you got to go for blood when you've got an opportunity. And it still seemed like we didn't really do that. Like, there was still, it's just, I did notice this. One of the things I've pointed to maybe last week, maybe the week before, that is weird to me is with all the great offenses you've seen in the NFL, take it back to even like, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. These guys regularly read the defense as quarterbacks and have the freedom given to them by their offensive coordinator to call audibles when they see fit. Now, maybe CJ hasn't completely earned that yet as a second-year quarterback and a guy who's still learning the NFL and the way NFL defenses operate, but I couldn't remember a single time this season, whenever we talked about this on another episode, like that CJ had called an audible. And I saw him call one yesterday, and it was terrible. It was not good. It did not work. And I think we ended up, punting or something on that possession, or maybe kicking a field goal. But I finally saw CJ Stroud call an audible, and it was a fucking disaster. So maybe that's why they're not doing that as much. Regardless, they're really, like, this deep into the season, in his second year as the offensive coordinator, for the Texans, like I'm still not seeing enough from Bobby Slowick to be praising him, even in a 34-10 win. Because the second half shit is still not good enough. Like I've said it already, but like one touchdown is like, yeah, it feels good to rip the Band-Aid off, but like, goddamn, can we, like, we've got the pieces. Every nationally televised game we have, the commentators say, if you look at the Texans offense and the talent that they have, even without Stephon Diggs, post Stephon Diggs injury, between CJ Stroud and Joe Mixon and the now competent offensive line and Nico Collins and Tank Dell, like, we should be putting points on the board. And it still seems like the second half we're just like, meh. And I don't know. It's just, that's clearly still an area that I think most Texans fans are looking to see them improve over the last several games here. Is like, get some consistency in the offensive scheme so that guys feel like they know where they're at. And get Nico Collins the fucking ball and don't overcomplicate things when it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and inches, and just be better. I don't know. That's what I'm asking for. So all in all, solid win. Always good to beat the Cowboys. Even better to beat them in Arlington. But they stink. They had one offensive touchdown. They didn't score in 3 of the 4 quarters in the game. Their quarterback is Cooper Rush. And even when it was Dak Prescott, the Cowboys did not look like anybody was going to be afraid of them this season, the first several games. So you had to win this one. You got the win. Where do we go from here? We play Tennessee at home next week. The Titans are 2-8. They stink like shit. And that's another game we obviously have to win. You cannot lose these games. You have to win down the stretch headed toward the postseason. You have to win, and you have to win convincingly. I will count this game against the Cowboys as a convincing win. It counts. 34-10, with them only scoring one offensive touchdown, it counts. That's good enough, and we need to see it again against the Titans. And hopefully use these next couple games as an opportunity to continue to sharpen the offensive scheme. Because the week after the Titans, we play the Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Jags are 2-9. They also stink like unkempt ass. And that is another must-win convincingly matchup if this Texan team wants to be legit. So we've got those 2 games, and then we're in our bye week. So going into the bye week, the Texans have to be 9-4. Currently 7-4. Have to be 9-4 going into the bye, because after the bye, we're at home against the currently 4-6 Dolphins. We can say that's a winnable game. Comfortably say that's a winnable game at home. Then we're in Kansas City against the Chiefs, who finally lost a game this weekend to the Bills. But nonetheless, defending Super Bowl champions, they've gone back-to-back. The Chiefs are dangerous. Everybody knows that. That's going to be a tough one, especially considering the discrepancy in coaching experience. Andy Reid is not to be fucked with. Anybody who knows the NFL knows that. He's insanely talented. Mahomes is obviously very, very good at quarterbacking. They've still got some pieces, granted, they're not as full of superstar talent as maybe they have been in years past, but the Chiefs have proven they are winners. They know how to win in this league. They are led by a coach who knows how to win in this league and has a ton of success. Probably one of the greats at this point, Andy Reid, like inarguably. So that's going to be a tough game. And then we're at home against Baltimore. So back-to-back games against formidable Super Bowl contenders, one of which is the defending champion. That's a tough stretch. That's why I say we have to be 9-4 going into the bye. Because you've got that Dolphins game, which I'll just say it's probably like a 62% chance we win that one or something like that. I'm a mathematician. And then you got 2 games that we're going to be underdogs. We will be dogs at home against the Ravens. We will be dogs on the road against the Chiefs. I don't think there'll be big spreads, probably 3 points-ish, 3.5-ish, but those are 2 games that you could, it wouldn't be insane to say we expect those to be L's, right? Then we close out the season against the lowly Titans for a nice little pick-me-up before the playoffs. But at the very least, you want to see us end up 11-6 going into the postseason. All right, that's if we beat the Dolphins and if we lose those 2 against the Chiefs and Ravens and then win against the Titans again. we would be 11-6. But winning one of those games against the Ravens or Chiefs, which is entirely possible, I would be fucking mind blown if we won both of them. But if we win one of those, we could get us up to 12-5 on the year, which would be a massively successful regular season campaign. And it would give us the momentum and positivity and confidence we need going into the postseason to do something more than just win a wild card game. To try to put ourselves in a position to actually win a divisional matchup and see if we can get to an AFC championship. It's not beyond, the realm of possibility that we end up 12-5 or even, we're not going to win out. That's insane to ask for that. But 12-5 that's based on the strength of schedule, that's where we should be. 11-6, 12-5, one of those two, which still makes this season a success. It's just been a challenging season. And for those of you who watch sports, for as many years as I have, even when all the pieces are there and the talent is there and the coaching is there, sometimes you just have shit go wrong. Sometimes shit just goes left when you expected it to go right. The Astros, as a baseball team, have seen this time and again. You never know what's gonna be a challenge for you in any given season. Whether it be the NFL or the NBA or the MLB, it happens. Shit happens. And I think it is fair to say, based on the mixed bag of results we have seen this season from the Texans, that some shit has happened. Mostly good shit, but some bad shit has happened. And a lot of really, close wins, as I complained about week after week after week after week after week. We finally got a comfortable one here against the Cowboys. It's been since what week was that? We played the Patriots and got a comfortable win. It's been a while. So this was a good step in the right direction. We're seeing some positive momentum in the way of the offensive line, the return of Nico Collins, Joe Mixon continuing to cook, CJ not getting his head ripped off every game, Tank Dell is healthy. We've got the pieces there. The defense is fucking killing it, but you've got to find a way to continue to take steps in the right direction the last several weeks of the season, because as we've said time and again, what really matters for this team at this point in both the existence of the franchise and in this rebuild that we have established here with DeMeco Ryans at the helm, we need to see playoff success. Last year was fine. That was more than any of us could have asked for. Beating the brakes off the Browns was great. Losing to the Ravens again felt like a very familiar end result to a postseason run for this Houston Texans team. I would like to see something different. That's what I think all of us want, right? So part of what I try to do on this show is, obviously highlight the things they're doing well, but point to the areas that we as fans should be watching for more improvement if we do indeed want to see playoff success on a level that this franchise has never accomplished. And if we have the talent there to do it, and considering the moves made this offseason by Nick Caserio to go get Joe Mixon, to go get Stephon Diggs, even if that didn't necessarily pan out for a full season, obviously, to get Daniel Hunter, you did the things. You got C.J. Stroud on a rookie contract. He's sort of underperforming what your expectations were. I'm assuming within the front office they had higher expectations for him than not having a touchdown pass against the Cowboys, for an example. This is it. Take the last several weeks. Take the bye week. The bye week could be huge for this team to try to make some adjustments in some areas and do things like figure out ways to get Nico Collins more looks and run with that and get the momentum you need going into the postseason, and then we'll all be happy campers, right? Right. That'll do it for today's show. Remember, every episode of our show is available in full video on youtube.com/@bangingthecaan. If you are watching on YouTube right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, please and thank you. We are also on all the audio platforms for the podcast people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, write a little review. It takes 2 minutes. Tell people why you like the show. Hit submit. Helps us a lot. Helps us to continue to grow. Helps other Houston sports fans to find Banging the Can. Means a lot. On that note, please share via word of mouth or text message the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family. Take this episode wherever you are listening to it or watching it. Hit the link to share. Copy the link if you're on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or whatever. Send that to one of the Texans fans in your life. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your friend. Share today's show with somebody you know that goes a long way to helping us out as well. Also, follow us on social media at Banging the Can on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. I think that's it. Covers our bases. Support our sponsors. Today, again, we have trueclassic.com/BTC. Get in there. Exclusive link in the description of this episode just for the can bangers to access their huge holiday savings at True Classic. We very much appreciate their sponsorship. They have incredible stuff. Go get you some True Classic this holiday season. trueclassic.com/BTC. You see the sign behind me. That's our sponsor for today's show. Check out Bolen Media's other programming. If you are an F1 fan, we've got a show called Formula Bone, hosted by Jared J-Bone Borislow, who's bringing you the latest in the world of F1 every single week with a recap and a preview of the most recent race and the upcoming race. Jared does a phenomenal job with his F1 coverage. It is, I believe at this point, the largest American-made F1 show on the internet. Go and check out Formula Bone. If you love F1, you will love Formula Bone. If you are watching Dune Prophecy on HBO, I have a show called Oysters, Clams, and Cockles that I've been doing since 2016, where we cover a show episode by episode. So like the series premiere of Dune Prophecy just happened, we did a podcast that is recapping, discussing, and reviewing that episode that is available now. We will be covering Dune Prophecy for the next 5 weeks through the 6-episode season, and then we'll be doing some fun stuff at the end of the year heading into 2025, where we'll cover things like Severance Season 2, The White Lotus Season 3, The Last of Us Season 2, and so on and so forth. The best on TV is being covered on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, hosted by me and another Houston man, Barrett Dudley, one of my best friends of over 25 years. We went to Westside High School together. We've been doing the show together since 2016. We have a blast on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Check it out. And finally, my personal podcast, the Ross Bolen Podcast, where I talk about everything else that's not Houston sports and entertainment. Oh, that was it. I ran out of breath doing this one, trying to talk fast and get in as much as I can. I am Ross Bolen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBolen. I will be back next week, hopefully discussing another sizable Texans victory against the dogshit Tennessee Titans. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.